What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a continuation of last week's video where we installed a set of 3-inch electric cutouts from Spelab, which I have a discount for you guys, which I'll tell you more about a little bit later in today's video. But in that video, I covered the installation of the 3-inch cutouts, but I didn't really touch on which muffler we decided to go with. So in today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the muffler, as well as show you guys some cold starts and driving the car cutouts open, so you can see what it'd be like straight piped, how it was before, and then we'll close them and I'll show you guys how good of a job this muffler does at taming this thing down. So let's get through the intro and jump right into today's video. Now that we've gotten through the intro, let's talk a little bit about the muffler that we decided to go with. I'll throw some pictures up on your guys' screen so that you can check it out while I tell you about it. So this is a Magnaflow 5x8 oval full stainless steel construction, and it is a dual 3-inch in, dual 3-inch out, which allows it to be a straight through X pipe design muffler with a perforated core. So as the pipes go through the muffler, they have a bunch of little holes in them, which allows the packing to absorb some of that sound. Now, one of the other main reasons that I decided to go with a Magnaflow muffler is because they are still made right here in the USA, which is a huge selling point. I really like to see that on today's products because it's not all that common anymore. So now that we've talked a little bit about the muffler, let's take a look under the car. I'll show you guys how we have it ran and plumbed in. Then we can fire this thing up so that you guys can hear what it sounds like. So real quick before we get under the car so I can show you the exhaust, I just wanted to show you what our combo is, just in case you're new to the channel. So this is an 06 GTO. It's got the 6-liter in it, stock bottom end. We do have a BTR stage 3 cam, and then basically LS3 top end, so 823 heads with the valve springs and all that stuff done, with a eBay style fabricated intake manifold, all rec port stuff. We are running the stock LS2 throttle body that I hand ported myself, and then all custom intercooler piping down to a procharger intercooler, which you can probably see right through there. And then the charge piping leads over to our procharger. I am currently running the intake tube with a filter. We're going to be doing some dyno testing here in the near future. We'll take the filter and pipe off and run a bell mouth, and we'll spray our methanol right into the bell mouth and see if we pick up much power. And then on the exhaust side of things, we are running some American Racing 1 7/8 long tube headers, which you can probably see right down in there. So that's what we're running for a combination on this car. It runs really strong. It's currently on E85, but it is flex fuel, so we can switch it back and forth. But now that you guys know the combo, let's go ahead, take a look underneath, and I will show you guys how we have our exhaust ran. So we've got our mid pipes here coming from our American Racing long tube headers, straight piped into our mid pipes, where then it goes to our new Spelab 3-inch electric cutouts that we installed in the last video. So when those are open, it dumps right here on both sides. And then if they're closed, it goes through our nice new Magnaflow muffler. Now I do have to say that the welds on this muffler were really nice. When I unbox this thing, it's just a beautiful piece. So super happy with the quality of that muffler. And like I said before, super happy it's made right here in America. So that's really nice to see. But when the cutouts are closed, it goes through the muffler. We've got the dual 3-inch inlets right there. And then it'll come out the dual 3-inch outlets back there, straight piped once again all the way back to a set of Cook's old school resonators. Those were on the donor car that we used to put this car together, and I don't think they are doing much at all. They're just whooped. So basically just this Magnaflow muffler here doing all of the work. I'll show you guys some before and after clips of how we had the car ran before we added all of this, so that you guys can see that those Cook's resonators really aren't doing much. So now that you guys have seen how we've got this thing ran, let's go ahead, hop out, we'll give this thing a start, and I'll let you guys hear it. I want to tell you guys that we are working in collaboration with Spelab to get you guys 15% off at checkout by simply entering the code BOUGHT2, that's BOUGHT, the number 2, at checkout to save 15% on anything that Spelab has to offer, including these electric cutouts. Again, that's BOUGHT2, B-O-U-G-H-T, the number 2, at checkout to save 15%. Let's roll this thing off the lift real quick so we can fire it up. That's a cold start with the Magnaflow mufflers, much quieter than it used to be. I'm gonna go ahead and open the cutout so that you guys can hear what it would sound like if it was straight pipe. And now we'll go ahead and close them again. Right back to the Magnaflow muffler where it's nice and tame and we can actually have a conversation. Let's let this thing warm up for a few minutes and then we'll go take it for a ride. Now that we've let this thing warm up a little bit, we'll go take it for a ride. I want to show you guys how much louder it would be in the car if we were straight piped. This is obviously through the Magnaflow mufflers and it's nice and tolerable in here. The car still sounds good and deep, but we can have a conversation, you guys can hear me, and it's totally manageable. It just sounds like a normal hot rodded car. It doesn't sound like anything crazy. So let's go ahead and open them up while we're sitting here idling for a second. And as you guys can see, it gets a lot louder when this thing was straight piped. This thing used to be unbearable to drive when it was the setup before we added the muffler, and having the muffler now, it's actually really nice. Definitely hard to get it to go through the camera how I want, but it's a huge difference. So we'll go ahead and go back to the Magnaflow mufflers. Back to a nice manageable tone that you could totally street drive every day. I wouldn't mind dailying this thing how it sits right now with the muffler. It's just way more manageable. So let's go ahead and take this thing for a ride and see how it sounds on the highway and just normal driving. So just driving it around town like normal, it's actually a really nice tone. You hear the blower a lot more because the muffler actually quiets this thing down so much, but it sounds really good. You still get that nice deep rumble of a cammed V8, but you don't have that crazy rasp that this thing had before that made it uncomfortable to drive through normal city streets and like just to drive it daily. So let's go ahead, hop on the highway, see what the drone's like, and just see how manageable it is to cruise. Go ahead and get the windows rolled up here. As you guys can see, cruising down the highway, I'm still in fifth, and we're at like 2,500 RPM. There's no drone. It sounds good. The blower's actually louder than the exhaust now. All I can hear is the blower noise and road noise over the actual car exhaust. Whereas before, you would try to street drive this thing, and if you had your girlfriend or a friend, whatever, and you were trying to talk, it was obnoxious to try to have a conversation. You were basically yelling at each other. So that's fifth. We'll go ahead and drop it into sixth. And this thing's nice and mellow. It's actually really quiet. Like I said, you hear more gear noise from the transmission, rear end, and road noise from the tires than you actually hear the exhaust in here. You can still kind of hear it. It sounds good, but it's not like overpowering to where you can't have a normal conversation or enjoy driving the car. So it's actually a really nice addition to this car. We can have it a nice simple street car to just cruise around in. I think this muffler would do really good on like a pickup truck with dual exhaust that you use for work or you daily drive, but you also want to have some fun on the weekends. It's got that nice deep tone, but it makes it a lot more manageable. So like I said, I'll show you guys real quick just what this thing sounded like when it was straight piped. We'll go ahead, drop it down to fifth, crack the windows, and we'll go ahead and put it to straight pipes. Again, not sure how good it comes across in camera, but it gets really loud. And this is how this car used to be all the time. Just obnoxious. So we'll go back to the mufflers. incredible tone. Again, I couldn't be happier with this Magnaflow muffler. This thing does phenomenal, and it makes it just a lot more enjoyable to actually drive this car. A lot of times I wouldn't take it because it was just so loud if we were trying to go out to dinner or take it somewhere that I knew I was going to be going through the city and stuff. Everybody stares and it just gets to be obnoxious. So being able to have it go through the mufflers, still get a nice race car like sound, but have it a lot more tame where I can have a normal conversation or I can stand to drive this thing more than an hour at a time. It's really nice to have that muffler on here. Let's go ahead, hop off the highway. We'll take a little bit of back roads. You can definitely hear the blower a lot more. Which is actually really nice for once, because before you could barely hear the blower when this thing had the straight pipe exhaust on it. Now you can hear a really nice sounding V8 and some of the blower noise. Can't get too crazy because it's been raining all day, but we'll jump on it a little bit here. And you can see this thing is so much tamed down. It's unbelievable, honestly. This thing used to scream and be obnoxious. Like everybody in 3 states knew you were making a pull. So it's really nice to have that muffler on here and get this thing more under control and have a nice tame sound to go along with this car. It makes it a lot more fun, a lot less stressful. You don't have to worry about it. Every time I drive by a cop before, it was just like waiting to get pulled over. Now that we've driven this thing on the highway and some back roads, let's head back to the house. Now that we're back from our little cruise, let's go ahead, fire this thing back up, and I'm gonna give this thing some revs so that you guys can really hear what this Magnaflow muffler sounds like. So there you have it, guys. That's what Magnaflow part number 12469 sounds like. I'm super happy with it, and as you guys could hear, it does a great job at taming this thing down. It makes it much more manageable and a lot more enjoyable to drive around. I could honestly daily drive this car with this muffler on it, whereas before I didn't want to take it on date nights or into town, anything like that, because it was just too obnoxious. So hopefully today's video could help you guys out and make your decision, because when I was looking to buy this muffler, I couldn't find the 12469 muffler anywhere on YouTube. I couldn't find a direct comparison or just some sound clips of what this muffler sounds like. So hopefully it could help you guys out. But as always, I appreciate you for checking out the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and check us out on all of our other social media platforms: Facebook, TikTok, and Bought to Build Official on Instagram. And we will catch you on the next one.